Here we are. East Coast Mike.
Last day.
Is this a hotel room?
Still a hotel room, yeah.
Yeah. Got that hotel room wall art.
Just a very buy in bulk art. Weird concrete walls and ceiling.
Are you at a hotel in Manhattan?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hotels in Manhattan are the smallest hotel rooms I think I've ever been in any major city.
It's bigger than we expected.
Oh, really?
It's not so bad. But yeah, we did the whole. I forget where the smallest hotel room on the honeymoon was. Might have been Rome.
Yeah.
That was quite small.
It's funny. Every time I go into a small hotel room, I'm like, this sucks. And then I'm like, what do I need the hotel room to be big for? What do I need 5 more feet to, you know?
You want to walk in and just go like, ooh.
Yeah.
Let me throw my stuff everywhere.
Yeah. I love when I go into a hotel room for 2 nights or something, and it's got the extra little room with the couch. Sure, and I'm like, oh, this is nice. And I'm like, what the fuck? I'm just going to sit on the couch. And the TV, by the way, is always with the bed and never with the couch anyway. So, hotel talk.
That's right.
Love
I
the
like it in
ones that
Vegas when you go
come
like,
with
all right, give me a tub. Give me a tub in Vegas, and I'll lock in.
I would
you ever
say
use your dishwasher when it comes
Oh, yeah.
with one?
in one of the
Dishwasher?
suites, like a Homewood Suites or whatever.
When you get like the studio apartment hotel that has like all these appliances that you don't need.
It's
I've
usually
never had a dishwasher in a hotel room.
those are usually for like the corporate, somebody's going to be here for 2 weeks,
Mm-hmm.
you know, people. But I would say the number one most important thing to me at a hotel is that the room is clean. And number 2 is that the bed doesn't suck. If you can give me both those things.
What kind of pillow guys are you?
So I use a Tempur-Pedic pillow. So every pillow everywhere I go feels wrong. The same with the mattress. So, you know.
I generally just don't sleep well if I'm not in my own bed.
Yeah.
I don't have like a special bed or anything, but like the uncertainty of
Yes.
like the not used to it.
You
I
ever
always-
have one
go ahead.
place where it's like better than your home situation? You're like, oh, okay, I need to go home and fine tune some things and make it
Yeah, well,
like
we
this.
have a queen bed at home, and so we're eventually going to get moved to a king.
Whoa.
So that every time you go to a king in a hotel room, that feels like I'm a little bit drowning in the ocean.
Yeah, the king is so big.
It's big.
It's so big. Yeah. All right. Well, hotel talk. Start us off.
Wi-Fi okay?
Yeah. Seems
Okay.
so.
I'm surprised we got through hotel talk without another spike.
Wi-Fi talk?
Wi-Fi talk.
Yeah. Well, I like hotel talk in the filter in. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is presented by DraftKings Sportsbook. Sign up for DraftKings Sportsbook. Use promo code RTRS when you do it. It's also brought to you by BodyBio. Get 20% off any BodyBio order with code Mike's Tummy, all one word, bodybio.com. Adam Ksebe, the official realtor of the process, 302-864-8643 is his cell. LL Pavorsky Jewelers, where Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners go and get engaged, and Surfside Iced Tea and Vodka, the official sponsor of the Corner 3 newsletter with Zoe. Subscribe at rightstoRickySanchez.com/newsletter. They've been with us so long. There was just vodka when they started. Now it's sponsored by their whole other product. On the show today, maybe one of the most off-season podcasts we've ever done, with all of the content still being Sixers adjacent. So Joel side-eyes Paul George on TV. LeBron, believe it or not, does not meet with Daryl Morey at the Four Seasons in Philadelphia. The Sixers owners have a Color Star-esque advertiser with their soccer team, Crystal Palace. Campaign gets arrested. Charles Barkley is leaving TV, and we are asked to give our free agency truth serum opinions. I did mention Surfside iced tea and vodka. I did have one last night. Now, I didn't have the iced tea. I had the lemonade and vodka, which has become my favorite. Fills go into extras. So I'm like, it's late. I'm not a late drinker, but I'm like, I'll have Surfside lemonade and vodka for the extras. Of course, fucking rain delay. Not great timing, because then I get a little sleepy, but it was good luck. So maybe I'll have a Surfside every night when I watch the Phils. Surfside is the official drink of Philly sports and the summer. It's the iced tea and vodka, iced tea, lemonade and vodka, all the different flavors. You fucking know them. Go to statesidevodka.com, get yourself a sampler there. You got to be 21. And you may remember, we've talked about him a lot, Mike DeTore, who was a Ricky listener, who sadly passed away due to brain cancer a couple years ago at 30 years old. There is a memorial golf outing, the second annual, in his honor to support his wife Rebecca's new charity, the Small Moments Foundation. Small Moments Foundation helps kids who have had a sibling or a parent die to cancer and gives them like a special day or something like that. It's a very nice charity that Rebecca started. So the golf outing supports that. I will be there that morning. I'll have the show in the afternoon, but I'll be there that morning. You can sign up to play or sponsor a hole or become a sponsor. All the money goes to the Small Moments Foundation. It is September 16th at Five Ponds Golf Club in Warminster. To play in it or to set up a sponsorship, go to smallmomentsfoundation.org. Good charity. Rebecca, good person, good thing to do if you got the time and the money. Without any further ado, Amos and the Chef.
We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We was right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. We were right, y'all. We were right. Even when it went wrong, we were right. We were right, y'all. We were right. So say the name. Say the name. Say the name.
Welcome to the Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast. I'm Spike Eskin, along with a guy who's still on the East Coast, still in a hotel, but has tremendous Wi-Fi. That is one Mike Levin.
Here we are. This trip's beating the hell out of me, man.
Yeah?
Doing a lot
That's
of
a
eating.
long time to be in a hotel, man.
Yeah, I just doing so much eating and drinking. I feel like I'm having to make every day. I'm like trying to make it count.
Yeah.
I'm just like it's counting on my pouchy face and growing waistline for sure. Fucking count that shit. Excited to get back and to just be a person again. Okay.
Before we get started with the rundown, I actually forgot to put this on a rundown, but Mr. Midrange mentions it in the YouTube chat. Congratulations to Kate Scott, who will be a voice on Madden this year.
That was sick. I think that's awesome.
Unbelievable. Now, I gave up playing video games 6 years ago when I would play 2K online and some 14-year-old would be calling me slurs while like killing me with Carmelo Anthony. It's like the worst feeling in the world. I said I'm too old for this, but Madden, iconic. So congratulations to Kate Scott.
That's sick. Yeah. It makes me want to hear it, want to like feel it with Kate like back there.
Yeah.
Are there going to be iconic Kate catchphrases? I mean, there's things that like dumbass games that I used to play when I was 15 or whatever, that with random announcer quotes or like bad songs from that era or something.
Yep.
That are still like talked about with me and my friends. And so Kate is going to be that for fucking next generation of Madden freaks.
This is for older Madden players, but the John Madden, boom, he's on his back, still echoes through my brain. And whatever the startup song was, for some reason I remember See There's Fine Again. I forget which year it was, but just every time you would fucking start the game, there it was again.
I think there was one game that I forget which one it was. It might have been a Madden, might have been like an NFL Blitz, could have been like an MVP baseball or something, where I turned off all the other songs except for one, and so it only played one song.
That's the psychotic thing to do, man.
I know. It was that's the era, man. So Kate's going to be inspiring a generation of people that do stuff like that.
Yep. I don't know anybody who's done that specific thing, actually.
I think it was a joke that me and my friends are doing. I was like, I only want to hear this one song forever.
Well, honest, one of the funniest, just as an aside, one of the funniest Madden things I've seen in my, I've had a fun career getting to see things that I normally wouldn't see. And I've seen NFL players play Madden, and they always, even if they're not a primary player, the first thing they do is make themselves a primary player. And for some reason, the one that sticks out in my head is, you remember Leonard Weaver, the fullback on the Eagles? We had Leonard Weaver play a kid in Madden once as like a promotion, and the first thing Leonard Weaver did was make himself the starting tailback instead of the fullback starting player. Went to Leonard. I would do the same thing.
Yeah, if I was I played cornerback, I'd be like, get myself in there. Let me see if I can play both ways.
So, as we start the finals, Embiid, Paul George section, I thought it would be appropriate to start with this voicemail that came into 833 Lickface.
So it's about 8:20 this Friday evening, and watching NBA Countdown, what do I see? But Joel Embiid sitting right directly next to Paul George. And not only is he sitting there, but the entire desk and the entire crew is saying, well, the Sixers are one piece away. And what do you see but Joel Embiid having that smug grin on his face? The other thing that's kind of interesting about this is, Spike, you've talked about this entire time, how, it could be great for the Sixers, for Embiid to not have that cushion of, oh, well, the Celtics never won something. He's in the building. He's going to see it. This is motivation. He's recruiting. It's happening. Bring PG to Philly, baby.
You hear the little twinge of joy and hope in his voice there.
Yeah, we're all doing it.
Yep. So a few things here. So, of course, last night, the Mavericks avoid the sweep and get it to 3-1, and it'll go back to Boston.
Could you imagine if they did it?
Everyone says that. But
I know, but if it's gonna happen eventually.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen someday.
Yep.
Could you imagine if it was?
Oh,
now?
it'd be great. Well,
could you just imagine if it was right now?
Yeah, as someone who has pronounced that I want the Celtics to win for the Joel depression, for the owner shame, I would be lying if I didn't also say that I would enjoy them to be the first team ever to blow a 3-0 lead in an NBA playoff
That would
series.
destroy the franchise.
Yes.
They may have to fold. They have to move to fucking Vermont.
Honestly, one of my favorite things since, and it's gaining traction now, but I've loved watching Joe Mazzulla in the press all the time. And he is honestly just amazing to watch. I don't know. You must have seen the clip where they ask him about two black coaches, and he wonders aloud how many of them have been Christian.
And then the deathly silence afterwards.
No response.
Man, it's like being at I couldn't tell if he wanted there to be a laugh. Probably not.
No,
I don't know that
I think he was being serious.
That much. He was definitely being serious.
Yeah.
But I think he could have also been serious by being like, some people being like, at least wanting some sort of validation that just suck the air out of the room. I've been at table reads that are that quiet.
Yeah.
It's not good. It means the show's not getting picked up. Just brutal.
No one answered him.
From someone.
They waited 8 seconds and just asked another question. And all that to say, I would love to see the Joe Mazzulla pressers as the lead is going away.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Look, obviously, don't think it's going to happen. No. Boston seems just like way the better team. But while we are in this moment, or it could happen.
Yep. We have to want it to happen.
We have to just like savor it and like taste it and enjoy it and think about a possibility where it does.
So before we get to Embiid and PG, there was another interaction that I really enjoyed, and it is a very quick moment in this video of Joel Embiid talking to Andre Iguodala. And I will say from the outset, I know a lot of people listen and don't watch. There are many moments in this pod where you're going to want to watch. So whether it is Spotify, the videos on Spotify or YouTube or something, if you're listening to this after we're live, I would suggest you watch it. So, okay, go ahead. Play the video. So there's Joel talking to Iggy. Oh, look at that. Josh Harris flies in for an awkward handshake with Iguodala.
I never see this.
And then runs away. Look at how little he looks. He's pulling. And okay, so here's the thing I want you to
The
notice.
first video must have been sped up a little bit, or at least for me, because it looked like he was bouncing in like a leprechaun or something. He was really moving so fast in that one.
Look at that.
I really liked it.
He's very red. He's wearing a hoodie. I like that he's an everyman.
Yeah.
But the first thing I watched
regular speed now for me, it was.
Yeah.
I thought he was just like really hyper or something like that.
So here are the two things I was watching out for. Actually, the most specific thing when I saw this is, okay, did he shake his hand wrong like he did with Joe Buck? You remember that, of course.
Yeah.
So he doesn't. He gets the full thing.
Yes, he presents that hand for a long time.
Yes. And
he's like, here it is. I got nothing in it. It's fully extended.
Yeah.
He is starting to back away a little bit, like he doesn't want to interrupt, but he was like, I gotta show full palm.
But look, he also does pull the hand away out of the handshake in a weird way. So watch this. They're handing and poof.
Yes.
He sort of slides it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I saw that at the end there. I think there's going to be generational trauma of him and his family for
handshakes
for the end of time because of what happened with on Monday Night Football. That's you don't get over that, and your kids don't get over that.
And that is in our intro video. And honestly, the best part of that, I know we talked about that over and over, is Troy Aikman's face as he notices what has happened. The grin on Troy Aikman's face.
I haven't seen Troy Aikman that happy in years.
Yeah, not since the 90s. So the clip everyone saw. So Joel is on the pregame show along with Paul George. And thank you to the person pointing this out again in the chat. Per the Hoop Collective, Joel was not initially supposed to be on TV. Tim Bontemps saw him in the bathroom and invited him on 20 minutes before.
Wow. Yeah.
So
when Malika posted it on Twitter, it was like surprise edition. It did feel like genuinely a surprise edition, not like a surprise for everyone, not just for the audience.
Yes. Yeah. And it was and by the way, Joel dressed in a t-shirt and sweatpants, clearly not like TV'd up like he was when he was on the soccer playoffs or whatever the fuck he was for soccer. So the clip, there are a bunch of clips we're going to play here, but the clip that everyone is talking about is when he is talking, and here's the thing to watch, when he is talking about the additions in the offseason, he side eyes Paul George, who is sitting right next to him, and grins. So here's the clip.
This offseason we found a way to get better and, add some pieces and, add some pieces. This offseason we found a way to get better and, add some
There it is. Find a way to get better. The look at Paul George. Now, by the way, I think this is notable, and CJ actually has the close up on Embiid. There it is. So and laughs afterwards. So I think this is important for a couple of different reasons. First of all, Joel has, one of the ways to get a player over is to have a player there who like they want to play with and know, personally or whatever. And Joel has not really been a Brian Colangelo style relationship guy. So I do think that one of the things that that you have to wonder about if you don't know Joel that well, if you're another player, is one, just as a player and his availability, I think have to be an issue, especially, by the way, somebody who was just playing with James Harden, who played with Joel. And the second thing is what he's like as a guy, because you're going to be traveling with this person, playing with him every day. So I do think it is notable that Joel is there, is sort of, recruiting a little bit. And it does lead one to wonder what the conversation was like off camera.
He's the best, dude.
Yeah.
It is for so many reasons so unfortunate that Joel has not had sustained playoff success at any point in his career, because we have been robbed of fun moments like this because he is such a unique personality. And a unique personality at that size.
Yes.
Just, you don't often see centers with that are that good and that fucking funny and like keyed in. It seems like mostly that's the more aware people are like wings and guards and stuff, and centers are just like, just do your job, just like set screens, roll, protect. And Joel is like, there's so much personality and charisma there. And
Shaq-like, actually.
Yes.
Like, probably not since Shaq.
Yes, I think that's right. And it's to meet Tim Bontemps in the bathroom and then go and be like, sure, I'll come on a national broadcast before a finals game and not think about it too hard, and then do a true emoji side-eye in person on live television I just love him. And I get I know that there's people in Philly that are ready to move on, that want to send out, like, want to get like the Godfather Joel package, they want to trade him for, whatever Utah got for Rudy Gobert, all that stuff. Like, I get it. I get why you can't. It hasn't worked out to this point, so it's understandable why you would go like, I don't think it's going to work out going forward. But I think he is still our best chance to have success at any point in the next decade, and be like, I just want it with him so bad, dude.
Yes,
I want it with him.
Yeah.
We have the validation and the like joy and thrill that we will feel when that fucking guy finally breaks through. He's just special, and I love him. And what a funny, huge man that is.
Yeah. The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by BodyBio. Do you travel with butyrate, sodium butyrate? I would imagine you do. Oh,
Bang.
there it is.
Bang.
The only gut supplement you need. Oh,
Unplanned.
here we go. Here's a little E-Light
Right there.
right next to me. BodyBio, local, family-owned and operated supplement company. Don't let that scare you. Put your arms around it. They care, right? And they are nimble. So I think one of the biggest things about BodyBio being a sort of smaller company is they have access to the same science, the same products that all the big companies have, but they are nimble enough to care about like every batch that goes out. So if a batch of one of these products does not meet their standards, they don't send it out. They see what's wrong. They change ingredients if they have to. That's why sometimes things will be sold out for a little while as they make sure it's right for you. BodyBio also, another thing that I really enjoy about them is on the site, they explain why everything is good for you, why everything is important. We've talked about a bunch of their products. By the way, go to bodybio.com, use code Mike's Tummy for 20% off any order. Two things. One of Mike's signature product that he is possibly an influencer for is sodium butyrate, Butyrate, if you're looking it up on the site. If you're going to take one gut supplement to get rid of bloat, keep you regular, sodium butyrate is the one that you want. And then E-Light is what I love. Had horrible cramping problems all the time in my legs, in my feet, sometimes in my abs or whatever. It's terrible. And the problem is hydration, is not just about drinking water, which I have right here. It is about having electrolytes. And with E-Light, you can have the right amount of electrolytes without any of the artificial flavors, no artificial colors, no sugar, nothing, just electrolytes. Take a little bit of it, put it in your drink in the morning, in the evening. BodyBio.com. We love you, BodyBio. Go to BodyBio.com and use code Mike's Tummy for 20% off any order, not just your first order, any order ever. BodyBio.com. All right. So the next part is they ask Joel, obviously it looks like the Celtics are, at this point specifically, we're about to win the NBA title. Joel mentions why he doesn't fear the Celtics in the future.
This could be the beginning of a dynasty of winning multiple championships for the Boston Celtics.
I don't think so. Not with the new CBA. And then you also got to understand the whole East was kind of hurt this year, myself included.
So you're saying you're coming next year?
I mean, there's a pretty good chance. Will Boston?
This could be the beginning.
So there you go. The new CBA. Now,
I love bringing up the CBA.
yeah, now it does like madden me sometimes to think about the fact that the Celtics have the number of players who seem to cost too much money to have all those players on the team.
Sure, yeah.
Jaylen Brown, Tatum, Porzingis, Drew Holiday all make a bunch of money, but
right.
Brown and Tatum are not actually on their giant deals yet. They're on the $30 million style deals, not the $50 and $60 million deals. So eventually, I don't think it'll hurt them next year, but eventually that will hurt them. And it is, boy, if that doesn't sound like somebody who talks to their GM all the time, I
Yes.
don't know, right?
Absolutely. It is also a little bit of solid coping.
Yep, it is a cope. It's definitely a
Happy to
cope.
do that. I will say, like, every year they do the, like, this could be a dynasty, And then so quickly it becomes, they can't afford these guys. Like so fast it goes from this is a dynasty that this is we're never going to get out from under this dynasty. This is going to be the next 5 years of our life.
Like Denver last year, by the
fast.
way.
Exactly. Like Denver. Yeah. I mean, I think like Minnesota was very quickly like that.
Yeah.
Even just like beating Denver in a round was like, maybe this is going to be it forever. It's like everyone is so ready to anoint the next team that will be the Warriors.
Yep.
And it's just ultimately really hard to do that for that long. And I don't think Boston is going to do that for that long. I didn't think Denver was going to. It's like the idea, there's a lot of really good teams. There's more good teams than ever. There's more good players than ever. And teams are generally smarter about how to build championship level teams. And sometimes they break through. Sometimes there's injuries and that prevents them to do it. But like there's it always feels obvious in retrospect. But I think that it's not. And
I mean,
there will be next year. There will be like 8 teams that can win again. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there has always been, not always, but there has generally been a dynasty-esque team through every decade or so of my NBA watching. Bulls, Lakers, Spurs, Heat a little bit, and then Warriors. But the fact that there's only 4 of them or whatever over the last and then previous to that, the Celtics and the Lakers. But the fact that there's such a small number of them indicates how hard it is to be one of them. And I agree with you. The Celtics are going to be a motherfucker for a while, and their top 2 players are really good. But also the fact that
they blow a 3-0 lead,
yes,
and then have to break everything up and move to Vermont.
And having 2 players that are say top 10-ish is awesome, but fair to mention that neither player is anywhere near top 3 or 4-ish, which most of those dynasty-esque teams have, and they do not have. So also, as the caller mentioned, the idea of Joel, one of my things is I wanted Joel to, feel Boston winning. Now, I think a lot of this is fan service, but I appreciated that Joel did it. Here is Joel talking about the Celtics.
As we see the Boston Celtics getting ready to close the deal and win a championship, what does that have you thinking about as a member of the Philadelphia 76ers?
I can't stand them. I can't stand them. I hate Boston. Great city, great fans. Obviously they got some great players, but he hurts me a lot. So hopefully, this offseason we find a way to get better and, add some pieces. And,
add some pieces.
There you go.
Oh, and I love him. Yeah. I just love him. And I he's not Bryce Harper of fan service, but I think he is like he's lived here longer than I think he's lived anywhere else for most of his life, at least. Like he is Philadelphia, like he's become an adult in Philadelphia and now he's gone through the ups and downs. He's played with on a team with either Jahlil Okafor or Tobias Harris his entire run here. He's had to deal with the Simmons thing. He's had to deal with the Harden thing. He's had to deal with the Colangelo thing. A million injuries, all that stuff. And it's just like he's Philly through and through. He has a good relationship with Daryl. I think this is it. He's recruiting. He's playing in the Olympic team. I'm disgustingly getting back in like a fucking.
There you go.
Like a fucking
moron,
simp loser idiot.
Yep. Wait, what were you going to do? Oh, the Harper thing. I'm actually, Embiid's a little more, and I give, you convinced me on at least he panders and he cares
good,
on Bryce. Yeah. But also, Joel's a little more real than Bryce is in that way. We get a little more actually how you feel, whereas I feel like Bryce, as somebody who used to have a temper and is always suppressing it, I feel like Bryce, in a lot of ways, is suppressing probably an answer that he wants to give. And Joel, fortunately and unfortunately, we have, I think, probably a better window into who he really is all the time.
I agree with that. And also, like, dude, you should hate Boston.
Yes.
Because they fucking beat your ass every time.
Every time.
The Celtics have ruined Embiid's season and then stolen players from the Sixers and punked various GMs of the Sixers for Joel's entire career.
Yeah.
If he talked about the Celtics the way he was like, oh, I love a lot of these guys. Best, the way he talked about the Knicks or whatever.
Yeah.
Best city in the world, whatever. I would be mad. And it would feel like
It's embarrassing. You should be embarrassed.
You should be embarrassed. I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
And I like that he is on national TV with these guys, Paul George sitting next to him, going like, no, I do take it personally. I am pissed and I want to rectify the situation. And it's cool. It's cool to see. We could have assumed this, but it is cool to see that Embiid is sitting next to Paul George and very clearly wants Paul George.
Yes.
It is nice that
Yes.
that is aligned.
It's a confirmation, by the way,
Yes.
that like he is the guy that they want, you know?
And I'm not even like Daryl could want a guy.
Yeah, but
That
it doesn't
Joel's
mean
is
that
like-
Joel wants him.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
the fact that seems to be aligned. Obviously, a look from Embiid is not.
It's enough.
It's not him giving, here's my rankings of guys I want or whatever, but it is definitely enough to get to be like, okay, there is some, finally, after all these years, unity in what is the problem, what needs to be fixed, what is a solution to that problem on like every level from I'm assuming Nick Nurse also feels the same way, you know, player, coach,
Yep.
GM, with Maxey there as youth, with Embiid there as like the veteran and everything. It's like, it just seems like we are Daryl's first offseason here. And there's a great Mike O'Connor piece on the site about like sort of going over Daryl's tenure so far.
It's very good, by the way. If you go to rightstoRickySanchez.com, you can see in the good O'Connor section, Mike O'Connor's piece is there.
And he was talking about basically Daryl doing the stuff that makes sense and hasn't necessarily had the
big move.
All of a sudden pulling a Derek White out of his
Yeah.
out of his hat or whatever. This would be the first offseason was the trading Horford, trading Josh Richardson, getting Danny Green and Seth Curry in there, and only costing a first round pick, which was fine. Obviously, Horford being this good still is a bummer to that, but fit wise, it was brutal.
And by the way, everyone knew they had to get rid of him too, so that makes life a little bit harder for you.
For sure. But this offseason being like, there's a guy that still has not signed an extension. He plays the exact position that the Sixers are lacking. He does all the things that the Sixers need him to do. He can come right in, and this is shaping up to be another like this makes sense offseason. And I'm fine with that. I'm fine with things making sense. It is nice. It would be nice for things to make sense.
And the final thing to wrap up our finals coverage is, I don't know if you saw this, but there was a watch party, I assume at TD Garden, for Game 4, sold out. And here's a funny video of Celtics fans, it's not going well for them, just beating the shit out of each other at the watch party. Boom, boom. Oh no.
Jesus.
Yeah. Kind of wonder what that guy said, you know. Here comes security. Just insanely annoying. Makes you wish you didn't even do that job, honestly. And security's there. It doesn't even matter. The guy simply will not stop.
What the fuck?
Yeah. There you go. And you think it's done, but then
Not
the fat
another
guy
guy.
starts fighting with somebody else.
No, that guy came in to step in.
Yes, that guy was trying to
brutal.
split him up.
Oh, God.
So I think the bald guy must have really been a piece of shit, because originally I'm like, why is that guy beating the shit out of the bald guy? But then the bald guy might be a piece of shit.
Unpleasant. Imagine how many people are going to get beat up when they lose 3 more in a row. Be the first team to blow a 3-0 lead.
Yeah. Oh, man, there'll be a lot of fighting there. A ton of fighting.
Speaking of blowing leads, you talked about, I saw the clip of you talking about Doc on the other one. But
Yes.
like, what a fucking, he's just the saying stuff Hall of Fame. Like,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
unbelievable. A guy that truly just says stuff.
Yep. So if you missed it, Doc was on the Bill Simmons podcast. Bill Simmons said that, Tatum seems to play better on the road. And Doc said, most players play better at home my whole career, except for Philadelphia, where they didn't play better at home because of the fans. What the fuck are you talking about? Like,
And
truly.
The record, like, as everyone's pointed out, like the record the season before was incredibly good.
Yes.
And that wasn't the problem that they didn't play well. He just wants to blame everybody else for his part in fucking up.
Yep.
And he truly does not have an ounce of shame. And even the smallest amount of going like, oh, I'm saying something that is wrong here. He says it with such authority.
Yep.
And it's just like, I need someone to call him out on it. Like, this is like becoming borderline political for me. Of like, can we have some real goddamn journalist armed with facts of ways that Doc has lied before and bring him to him in a sit down interview with fucking Katie Couric or whatever, and with a dramatic lighting, and have him say, own up to that shit, man. Like, what's going on? It is unbelievable that he keeps doing it. It is unbelievable. He does not. It's important to say. He does not need to go on podcasts. He left media to coach because he stabbed fucking, what's his name, Griffin in the back when he was consulting, a Colangelo type move from our guy. And he doesn't need to do it. He's making all the money in the world. He has been a coach for 26 straight years, a head coach with like a brief half-season break. He doesn't need to do it.
No.
I don't know why he does it.
He loves attention and money. And look, I guess join the club, but
have some shame. Any
have
amount
some
of shame.
Well,
if I did that much, if I did that much coaching in basketball and media and got roasted constantly, and my son was on a podcast or doing media defending me all the time, telling me that Lawrence Fishburne is not hot enough to play my dad in this fucking show. Like, I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't keep going. He keeps going. He does not stop. He has, for a man that walks like that, his endurance to keep doing this
is amazing.
Is unbelievably high.
You got to give him credit. You know, he is available always.
That's it. That's it. Hit the button.
You know, the number one ability is availability.
Right? He is available. On the radio show yesterday, our producer Dan played his 5 most shameful Doc quotes. And the one that I forgot about was when somebody asked him about blowing 3-1 leads. He actually sort of asked for credit for the team being up 3-1 at any point, which is just insane. Is one of the craziest responses I've ever heard. Adam Ksebe, Ksebe, is the official realtor of The Process. Ksebe. Now, first of all, before I tell you what his specialty is, if you're not interested in his specialty and you're looking to buy or sell a home in PA, New Jersey, New York, one of the states that he doesn't operate, he can still help you. He can't sell you the house, but what he can do is get all of your information, find the right realtor for you. So your first realtor stop is always Ksebe. Now, it's summer, and Ksebe's expertise is the Delaware beaches, where everybody wants to be now. New Jersey, property taxes too high, too crowded. Delaware, the shit. Property taxes like 20% of what New Jersey's are. So if you'd like to buy a shore home, Delaware beaches, whether it's Lewis or Bethany or Dewey or Rehoboth, you got to go to Ksebe. It's a very difficult time to buy a home anywhere, especially a shore home. That's why you need somebody who knows it like the back of his hand. Adam Ksebe, his team, based out of Long and Foster and Bethany Beach, cover every square inch of Delaware and Maryland. So if you want Ocean City, Maryland or something like that, you got to go to Ksebe. I'm telling you, I know you go to realtor.com or whatever, or Redfin or whatever the fuck. You need someone in your corner who's going to help you rise above everybody else. And Ksebe is the guy. This is all he does, and he is good at it. If you want to buy or sell anywhere in Delaware, specifically the Delaware beaches, you got to go to Adam Ksebe. If you need him, shoot him a text or call him 302-864-8643. His personal cell phone is 302-864-8643. You can text him. Don't worry, you don't have to call. I know a lot of people don't like making phone calls. Or send an email to adam@processrealtor.com. That is adam@processrealtor.com. So the next thing we have to address in this ridiculous episode of the podcast is a photo that was circulating yesterday around the internet. And I first heard of this when I got a text message from my co-host and producer, Jack, in the morning. And he texted me a photo, and he said the morning show got this photo, and somebody told them it is LeBron with Daryl Morey at dinner. So here is the photo. So I look at the photo and I'm like, well, first of all, there's no fucking way that Daryl is having dinner or lunch or whatever the fuck with LeBron in public anywhere, specifically while LeBron is a contractually obligated to the Los Angeles Lakers. And so here's what everyone assumes happened. LeBron flew to Philadelphia to meet with Daryl, had dinner in a public setting during the finals. Okay. So I'm looking at the picture.
Yeah.
And that's obvious when I'm looking at it. It's obviously Daryl on the right. Like that's the back of Daryl's head. So I do a little investigating and I find out.
The other two people are pretty clearly Nick Nurse and
Josh Harris. Yeah. So I find out for sure that it is Nick Nurse, Josh Harris, Daryl Morey, Elton Brand. And I go on the radio with Joe in the morning and say, I have confirmed 100%, and he believed me, obviously, that these are the four people in this photo. But second, and forgetting about, that puts aside the logic of the fact that this would never happen. But also, I've seen Elton Brand 15 times in the last 5 years. Every time he is wearing a plain button-down collared shirt. Every time. I've seen LeBron on TV hundreds of times. I have never seen him in a plain button-down collared shirt. So I know he's a black guy. I know he is tall and slender, but there are, believe it or not, thousands of tall, slender black guys.
That's probably the one that works with them
Yes.
very closely.
Yes, that one's the president, one's the GM. They're in Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Of all the 6'8" slender black guys,
Yeah.
the most likely is
that-
Elton.
Is that Nick Nurse, Daryl Morey, and Josh Harris with Dorian Finney-Smith?
Unbelievable. So just to assure you, I thought I squashed it in the morning, but then it floated again last night. So like on the internet, if you see it, I got a text from Clement from Surfside yesterday at the end of the show, and it was just, ugh, LeBron James, ? And then 5 seconds later, it was like, sorry, wait a minute, my friends are fucking idiots. And that was it. So definitely not LeBron, I can confirm. But we did get this email that I thought was interesting. This came from Mark to Rights To Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. All of the discussions about potential offseason moves have been fun, but let's get real for a second. Do you actually believe any of the free agents that have been discussed have a realistic chance of being on the Sixers next season? I could actually see them trading for someone, though it also seems far-fetched, but it feels literally impossible that a marquee free agent is actually going to sign here, or perhaps most of all, Paul George. So truth serum question is, how do we really think this offseason is going to go? I know what my response is, but I'll give mine. Do you want me to go first, or do you want to go first?
You go first.
So I think the most likely scenario out of all the scenarios, this isn't for sure, but the most likely scenario is that the Clippers crack, give Paul George the fourth year, he stays there, LeBron stays in at the Lakers, the Sixers make a move or several moves that make them better this year, but put them in position to make a trade when a trade becomes available, whether it's Kevin Durant, whoever it is. And by the way, like even if they do something like trade Brandon Ingram, I think it's incredibly unlikely they would immediately give him an extension. So I would include that in the group of things that could happen. But
if the Sixers trade for Brandon Ingram, you find it unlikely that they would immediately extend him.
Yes. Yeah. I think they will keep themselves flexible unless one of the few guys we have talked about, the Paul George, LeBron, Jimmy Butler, whatever, become the players, so become a Sixer. I think it is possible that Paul George comes here. I think it is, probably the second most likely thing that he would do to going back to the Clippers. He's not going to Orlando. He's not going to Detroit. I don't know that there's a better situation for him for an opt-in and trade, which Brian Windhorst brought up, which is certainly possible. But I think the most that is what I think the most likely scenario is, though I think it is possible, better than a puncher's chance, less than likely that Paul George comes here. That would be my prediction.
The trading for Ingram and having a year to like see how it goes,
or even trade him to Phoenix or something,
and then possibly trade him
at the deadline.
Yes, it's a like see how this goes, and then go like, okay, he's still young and can be the centerpiece of a trade for someone who's maybe a better fit, whether it's a Kevin Durant, something like that. and then you can turn around and tell them like, here's still a young player that you could extend and build around. That is a piece that is interesting to me. And I hadn't really thought, I had sort of done like lumped them both together of like trade for Ingram and then he's here for the next 5-6 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that being like a better, but not that much better version of Tobias here. But the idea of trading for him, holding on to him for a little bit, seeing how it works, and then maybe flipping him still as the same way that the Pelicans would do, a young piece that you would have to trade stuff for.
Or just expiring, by the way, and you include picks. You know,
yeah, I mean, I think the way that they're going to have to, yes.
I'm just, let's say Phoenix is the team, right? Let's say Durant is the player. Mm-hmm. Them replenishing their picks and giving them cap flexibility, also giving them a player that I don't know might work.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. I wouldn't love it. It would be sort of a half step, and when they make that trade, we wouldn't know that whether it's like we're making this trade because we want to extend him and you want him to be here. We think he's a great fit or the best kind of player we could fit between these guys, or if it's we're kind of just doing this because he's kind of cheap and still young and pretty good, and he's there, and nobody else is really there. Everybody else costs too much money. Jimmy's too old and hurt. Like those kinds of things. What do I think? Truth serum. The fact of the matter, truth serum indicates that I am hiding some sort of opinion that I really am kind of pretending about for the podcast. But I guess
it's more likely that you just don't know, right?
I would say that my unhinged ability to convince myself of stuff is pretty unmatched.
Yeah, it's very good. It's one of your best qualities.
So it's not like truth serum, if the truth serum is like, fucking straighten my ass out serum, like maybe that would be helpful.
That is different. Yeah,
I think it's different. I do think there's a very good chance that, not very good, not 80%, but like very good as far as how close we will be coming to have signed someone into this cap space. I think that is a very good chance. Like we are the closest to some name what Paul George's top 25, whatever player in the league deciding to sign outright into the cap space, which no one has done since Elton Brand himself
in Philadelphia
signed in Philadelphia like that, 16 years ago or whatever. I think that's like still like what under 60%, but I think the fact that the Clippers had not extended him, the fact that they had all this time to do it, and the Clippers are not they're getting old. They want Harden to be there probably. Like, I think the idea of latching themselves to all three of those guys who are injured, who are old, with the fact that Paul George will not accept
less than
the max.
And by the way, they've backed themselves into a weird corner because they obviously convinced Kawhi that they weren't giving anyone 4 years.
Yes. So I do think that there is a chance, but I also think that there is, I don't know how willing Kawhi will be like to hear. It's like you lose him or not. I don't know. That conversation, I don't know how it's going to go. And it absolutely could go the way that you're saying, where they finally flinch. Kawhi goes, fine, whatever. Give me like a massive other deal to like supplement that, NIL style or something. Certainly possible, but I do think that there's a really good chance that Paul George just fucking decides to come here. And I'm not saying that's going to go perfectly.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I'm like over the moon about it, that it would be like.
Well, I would be over the moon about that, given the situation and history. And
I would be looking at the moon. I would be touching the moon, but I'd also be very scared that I'm going to fall and die.
Yeah. You'd be riding the moon like a dirt bike, no helmet. Yeah.
I think I'd be a little bit scared. I mean, man, since that caller or emailer brought up Cade Cunningham, I've become like
there's no chance.
Obsessed with it.
They're going to give him a max extension. There's no. By the way, I think it was Jack that asked me, or he was like, "Hey, could they really trade for Cade Cunningham?" I forget who asked me, and I was like, Let me tell you why people think that they could trade for Cade Cunningham now. Because somebody sent us an email and we talked about it, and CJ clipped it into a thing and it put it into people's minds. There have literally been no rumors about Cade Cunningham.
No rumors. But I think it makes sense on a lot of levels.
Except for the Pistons.
No, I do think that makes sense for the Pistons because they've been a horrendous team. Maybe things have soured between them. They got a new GM in Trajan Langdon, or president of basketball operations.
They're going to give him
they're about
$250
to
million.
They're about to have to make a decision on that extension. They're a poorly run organization. Like they could decide, no, fuck, if we're not going to give a max extension to a guy who hasn't done this. Let's trade him while he's still valuable. The Sixers go, here's everything we can give you. And all of a sudden, the Sixers are the dynasty for the next 10 years. How about that? What about that?
There he is. Over the moon.
I would be over the moon about Cade.
Yeah.
I would be understanding, but a little bit scared, but very excited about a Paul George signing into cap space situation.
I would put the Paul George likelihood at 1 in 3, which is possible. You know,
I think that's very good, though. I think generally that is a very high number.
Look, it's Tony Gwynn. Is Tony Gwynn going to get a base hit?
Yeah.
There you go.
I would love for Tony Gwynn to bat
yes.
with the Sixers franchise on the line.
On the line, yeah.
Slap on the other way, babe.
The Rights to Ricky Sanchez podcast is brought to you by Pavorsky Jewelers. Hits way better than 300, by the way. Bats 1,000 in love. That's right. Over 400 Rights to Ricky Sanchez listeners have purchased engagement rings from Pavorsky Jewelers. He is the very first sponsor on the Ricky, and we are proud. He gets applause, standing ovations when he comes on the trips or our events, and he deserves every bit of it. The reason that Ricky listeners keep going to Pavorsky is because simply they don't know any other jewelers and they trust us because none of their friends, have any recommendations. But then when they go there, they're like, holy shit, this guy is great. He wants to do it by appointment. So no one else is going to show up and take away his attention. Somebody, I don't know if you've ever been to a regular jewelry store. You're asking, like, let's say you want to spend, you don't have a lot of money. You want to spend $2,000 on a engagement ring. Then fucking Mr. Moneybags walks in, and then everybody's paying attention to Mr. Moneybags and not you. Not going to happen at Pavorsky Jewelers. Going to treat you like you're Mr. Moneybags, even if you're not. Or even if you are Mr. Moneybags, he will treat you like Mr. Moneybags. He's a great guy. You're going to get a great ring. You are going to, and then you'll have a jeweler for the rest of your life. You don't need to go anywhere else. Treats everybody great, and I'm so proud that he is a sponsor of ours, and I couldn't recommend him anymore. If you want to buy an engagement ring, like I said, by appointment so he can concentrate on you, talk to you beforehand. And by the way, you could do an online appointment too. You could do it over Zoom or whatever. Give him a call, 215-627-2252, or send him an email, lee@llpavorsky.com, or shoot him a tweet. He is a supporter of our charities, always, by the way, Providence Animal Center and Mama T's Community Fridge, Pavorsky Jewelers.
Mr. Jewelry Bags.
Mr. Jewelry Bags is right. Okay. This one's weird, but I think it is worth mentioning. So you remember, of course, the Color Star saga, as the Sixers signed a sponsor and the company essentially did not exist. It was a weird company that was a metaverse company that used to be a concrete company that after our investigation, the Sixers dropped them as a sponsor. Their CEO, Lucas Capetian, didn't exist. Sir Lucas Capetian didn't exist, had a degree that didn't exist, blah, 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 blah. So Josh Harris is one of the owners
Concrete pouring. There's so many more snippets.
Yes. Yeah. If you missed that, by the way, if you're a new listener, go back to the Color Star saga and listen to those pods. First, CJ's investigation, which I think was his star turn on the podcast.
Wow.
And then J.R. Maley, who came on, who actually did that stuff for a living and showed how fucking insane they were. So I would suggest going back to that anyway. So in any case, what's it called? So Josh Harris owns this soccer team called Crystal Palace. And
I forgot that he owns it too.
Yes.
Fuck.
So a video catches my eye, and it is about a new sponsor of Crystal Palace. And forgive this guy's accent. And again, this is worth watching as well. But he looks into the new sponsor, and surprise, surprise, the CEO doesn't exist. All right, go ahead.
Nothing to see here at all. Just Crystal Palace's new official front of shirt sponsor for next season, the well-established Net88 gambling company. Yes, the Vietnamese gambling company that has some fantastic advertisement will be smack bang front and center of Crystal Palace's shirt next season. Now, I'm making this video in the interest of fairness because if, for example, Manchester City had done this, everyone would be talking about it. This is the company's Twitter page, which has 0 followers, was created in December 2023. This is the native version of their Twitter page. But it is fine, because yesterday they did create a new English account for all of their English fans, which has now a whopping 35 followers. Now, you might be thinking, is this company legitimate? Well, there is some sort of background here of the founder of Asia's #1 bookmaker, Net88. Just bear in mind that picture. Looks awfully familiar to a picture here from a YouTube video of a TikToker who died back in 2023. And that's because it is literally the very same picture. So basically there is a company with no background, no history of ever existing, seemingly no actual employees or a founder, but they are the front of shirt sponsor for Crystal Palace next season. If that was Man City...
So then to add on to that, somebody else did a little investigating, and this doesn't happen anymore, but at the time, this betting company did take bets on cockfights. That's right, chickens fighting. It had a cockfight page in which you could bet on cockfights. So there you go.
Unbelievable. I'm saving that video.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. How do they keep getting away with it? Why does this keep happening? Does someone check? Does anybody check?
Does this company
What happened
exist?
to checking?
Yep.
What the fuck ever happened to checking? People used to check all the time.
Yeah.
Let me just check. And now, nobody checks. Nobody checks anymore.
I check everything.
We don't have enough money to where checking matters.
Right. That's a good point. Well, I can assure you, all of the companies that advertise on Rights To Ricky Sanchez exist, and every photo we've shown of them are them and not a TikToker who died in 2023.
Sodium butyrate is, I'm pretty sure, concrete. It's concrete mixing company, and I drink it, I eat it. It's great. Unbelievable, man.
So good.
Oh God, how does it keep happening? Somebody, I don't know what it's like to run a big fucking company,
nor do I.
Private equity shit. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about anything. But like, I would want to go like, hey, the person, if I'm Josh Harris, the person who got me into those things, I'm gonna publicly fire them.
Yes.
I'm gonna publicly fire them, maybe on a televised event.
Yep.
And
like
blame
the
everything
decision.
on them. And yes, the decision is you're fired. Sorry for all this weirdness. It's this person's fault. Goodbye. It's over. And it's just it happening in the dark. When he owns several teams, now multiple have had fake businesses become big time sponsors. It's not like, oh, this person has a kiosk at the arena.
No. Front of jersey sponsor.
That's really hard to do. It's hard to be like that. But they're doing it.
They sure are.
Free agency is going to work out. Free agency is going to be good.
Yeah. What if we get a player that doesn't actually exist?
That'd be good.
Yeah.
Then we can't blame them, I guess.
Yeah.
Tobias was like that for a little bit.
Certainly at the end. So one last thing, and then one quick email, because I thought it was a good one. There has been a lot of, and I don't think any of the deals are done yet, a lot of talk online about the NBA's TV deal and not being with Turner anymore, which seems likely. And Charles Barkley has been very negative about that. And then last night on TV said this.
I've been thinking, guys, I want to say this because you guys are my family. I really love TNT, all the people who work here, NBA television. You guys been great to me for 24 years. And I just want to say thank you to my entire NBA family. I love you guys. You know, there's been a lot of noise around our network the last few months. And I just want to say, I've talked to all the other networks, but I ain't going nowhere other than TNT. But I have made the decision myself. No matter what happens, next year is going to be my last year on television. And I just want to say thank you to my NBA family. You guys been great to me. My heart is full with joy and gratitude. But I'm going to pass the baton at the end of next year. I hope the NBA stays with TNT. But for me personally, I wanted you guys to hear from me because I'm not doing any more interviews. Don't y'all be calling me. Nobody calling me. I'm not talking about this again, but I want to tell my NBA and NBA TV and TNT family that I'm not going to another network, but I'm going to pass the baton to either Jamal Crawford or Vince Carter or you, Steve. But next year, I'm going to just retire after 25 years, and I just want to say thank you, and I wanted y'all to hear from me first.
So there you go. So I love Charles Barkley, and as I mentioned before, my dad, obviously, good friends with Charles, and I wore some of Charles's old clothes to high school when I was a fat 15-year-old. But Charles is so good on TV, and I hope what he's doing is saying that he's not going to be on TV and that he goes and does something else because I like listening to Charles and I like watching him. So, but I think Charles is great on TV, and I think no matter what happens, he'll be missed if he doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah, he's great TV.
Charles
I mean,
fan.
that was a great clip. He seems like a great guy.
He
in
is.
a bunch of ways that people genuinely love, and he's like a caring person, and it's cool that he did it like that. Not inside the NBA, not my taste of show. I know people love it,
and
think
it's
so
a good
funny.
show. Yeah.
It's not for me, but I can appreciate that for a lot of people. It's an end of an era situation. And it's certainly their role in like the NBA landscape at large is massive.
And this will relate to the next question, but as far as Charles being a good guy, I've seen a lot of players, musicians, or whatever in public. I have never in my life seen a person as famous as Charles more willing to stop and talk to regular people wherever he is than Charles Barkley. Like interrupting him during a meal, he doesn't care. He will talk to you. There's a gym in Ballackinwood, the aquatic and fitness center I used to go to, and he has a place in Ballackinwood, so he's in Philly, I would say, maybe a third of the year. And he would be on the exercise bike, and people would basically line up to talk to him while he was on the exercise bike, and he would still do it. He's a great guy, so love Charles. This comes from Scott, Rights To Ricky Sanchez at gmail.com. Spike Mike CJ. I saw B-Ball Paul in the Philly airport on Tuesday when flying with my wife and kids. We were on our way back from a trip to Turks and Caicos, and I saw him in baggage claim. He was on my flight. I'm a big fan, and I wanted to say something to him, but he had his hoodie up with his headphones on. He was clearly keeping to himself. My wife knew how excited I was and said to go for it because it was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. I held back, seeing that he didn't want to be bothered, and because I didn't have my Out of the Mud hoodie on. Was I right to leave him alone, or did I miss my one chance to meet B-Ball? What are the rules when spotting a Sixer in the person? Big fan of you guys. Love, Scott.
I think you're right to leave him alone. I think it's a great point. If he had his Out the Mud hoodie on,
you have to say
then
hello.
You would have said something. Or if you have it like in your bag or something like that, I would quickly run to the bathroom, put it on really quick, and then go like, hey.
Yeah.
Like, and then Paul couldn't be like, he couldn't be anti that. He would have to be excited, and I think he would be. But yeah, if you're feeling that somebody's like headphones on, hoodie on, not feeling like it, I think that's a good read of the situation and an appropriate at a human level.
I think you can never go wrong making the decision that he made. So you can never go wrong saying, that guy looks like he doesn't want to be bothered. Yeah. Like, don't do it. Though I would say, and it is a hard line to figure out, and every player / famous person is different, but there's a certain level of player that I think probably appreciates it more than another level of player does. Like Joel Embiid probably wishes you would leave him alone because everywhere he goes, anytime, everybody knows he's Joel. Mm-hmm. B-Ball Paul is at the level where he probably thinks it's cool, you know? So my rule is more like, if they are actively engaged in something, if they're at a meal, if they're in the movies, if they're actively talking to somebody, leave them alone. I would say, though, that in the airport, if he's by himself, hey, Paul, big fan, walking by him, and if he gives you the smile or whatever and ask him for a picture, I think it's fine. You know, if they're by themselves and in a public place and not engaged in anything, I think there are worse things you could do than saying that you're a fan of theirs and showing a little love. That I agree with you that you could never go wrong not saying anything, but also, like, how many times are you going to run into B-Ball Paul in the airport?
Sure. I would just carry your Out the Mud hoodie on you at all times.
Yes, at all times.
So just in case.
Yeah, or a picture of it.
That's a little worse.
Yeah.
It's tough to get him to that. But I think, like, I don't know. The other thing is, if you love B-Ball Paul and you can tell that he's like not feeling like talking, and then there's a decent chance, and this is not Paul specific, but like that he's not friendly to you.
Yes.
If he's not in the mode for it.
And that'll bum you out.
And then you're bummed out. And so
Yeah.
it's like, what is the best case scenario? I guess I'm not like so much a get a picture with somebody type of person. If you had the hoodie on, then you could have a moment, and that moment is very nice.
Yeah.
But I think, like, risk reward wise, meeting your heroes, and obviously B-Ball Paul is all of our hero. It might, yeah, could go wrong.
You're gonna hate this story. I don't know if I've told it on the pod ever, but at Fly the Process Milwaukee, when we were in Chicago, before we got on the bus, my friend Matt and I walked into Starbucks in Chicago, and before we went to the game. And who do I see at the Starbucks? And this guy is not my hero, but I did recognize him. But Jimmy G. Jimmy Garoppolo was in the Starbucks.
Okay.
And I walked up to Jimmy G, and I was like, who, by the way, is even more handsome in person. But I walked up to Jimmy G, and I'm like, hey, you're Jimmy G. He smiles. He says, yeah. I was like, we get a picture? He's like, eh. And I'm like, I'm going to tell everyone here you're Jimmy G. And he's like, all right, let's take the picture.
Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. Holy shit.
I don't know why I did it, but it felt funny to do at the time. Not a great move. I wouldn't recommend it, but I did do it. I have to come clean that I did that once.
I'm glad you got it off your chest.
Yeah.
Threatening someone immediately after meeting them.
Threaten him with telling everyone. And by the way, if I say in a Chicago Starbucks, Jimmy G is here, how many people do you think are going to care? 4%? You know, it was such a strange threat to make. So, All right. Well, we are, how many days? We are 2 weeks, basically, 15 days from free agency's beginning, which will happen on June 30th at 6 p.m. That is when the legal tampering period happens. So if I could ask the Sixers ownership to sign one more bullshit sponsor to get us through to that point from a content perspective.
We should do a little draft talk.
Yes.
Coming up.
Yeah, I'll do my YouTube big board.
I'm getting excited.
Yeah, that is 26th and 27th. So I will do my YouTube big board as I always do. I think, oh, and by the way, speaking of the draft, if Paul George does do an opt-in and trade, it is most likely that would happen around the draft. So if we clear opt-in and trade, if we clear the draft and there's no Paul George thing, I would suggest that it is more likely it becomes strictly about the Clippers or the Sixers. That would be my guess.
I have, we did officially finish in first place, my basketball team.
Nope.
I play like this. I don't play like that. When I play, I'm pretty intense.
Mike playing basketball.
I'm in my prime. Honestly,
Sign me. We did finish in first place on the season, which means our game is at 7 o'clock Pacific time.
Mm-hmm.
And if we win that game, then we wait an hour, watch the other game, the 2-3 game, and then play afterwards. If I lose, which would be bad, then I can come home and probably do the podcast on draft night, but I would be upset.
Well, the game's at 10 p.m. Eastern time?
Yeah.
Nah. Because remember, it's only one round.
But the game, the draft starts at 8 Eastern time.
Oh, yeah. And you're not playing an NBA game.
No, it's like was like 50 minutes probably.
Yeah. Well, we have. Let's put it this way. I will be there. Dan Ollinger, who is draft expert, and is digging deep in that, will be there. And hopefully Mike loses his first game and he can come and join us.
That'd be so sad.
Yeah.
If I lose and then the Sixers trade the pick, I don't know if I could take it. That might be too much.
All right. We will talk to you during the week. Are you down with TTP?
Yeah. Like face.